Hey guys, today I wanted to talk a little bit about the new feature that's come out with Fathom Synth, and that is being able to uh, design your GUI or GUI, as some people call it. Basically, that's being able to change all of these colors and shadowing and textures like we have right here within the synth itself. It's not a tutorial. I just wanted to go through some demonstrations as I learn it myself. Uh, this is only in the Fathom Vector or AVX versions, not in Fathom Pro. We get here by clicking on our settings, and you can see GUI design here. Okay, so now that we're in this, we have an enable on and off. So this allows us to change some things. Our first button here allows us to select what it is that we're working on. So we'll pick something. Let's say the main panel. No, the dial strip or dial panel. That's this right here. Okay, you can see I've got some shading on it, and this will be pretty easy to see as we go through it. So one of the easiest things that I've found so far is to just change the brightness on something so I can see to make sure I'm working on what it is that I want to be working on. Every time you make a change, you're going to want to click that UE design. Okay, so in this case I learned that the dial panel is not really what I want to be working on. So I'll take that back to kind of where it was. And I want to work on this strip here with the text. So maybe that's a dial strip. So we'll turn that up. Yeah, that's the dial strip. Okay, so you have a couple of options that you can do here. You have if I can find it again, here's where you would select your colors for the panel, as well as all the way to the right, the text color. So we have a base color, and that's the main color. If you can think of this as a 3D object, the base color is going to be the thing in the center. So we'll make it something very obviously not what we have. Click Update. I'm going to make that brighter just so I can see a little bit as we make our changes. Now move that to the top. That's going to be the top shadowing. So I make that something very, very obvious, I hope. All right, and then the bottom color, make that a yellow. Oh, got to click our update. There we go. And you can see what's happening here. You've got the colors as they blend together, top and bottom. Now the color intensity for that bottom, you can see it's starting to go away, and if you wanted to turn that up, that's just dealing with the yellow or the bottom. Okay, then there's a bevel width, the bevel being kind of the 3D effect or whatnot. And you can see the colors get a little bit more towards the edges when you do that. If we come down here to the base and turn up our color intensity, which is that bright green, let's make it a little bit more green. And of course, you have shadowing, the intensity, the angle, and all the things to give this a 3D look. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time going through it, but you get the idea. Some of the other things would be the gradient X and the gradient Y. as far as which direction, you know, the colors are fading into each other. You also have we have our base, top, bottom. We also have left and right. So you get even more of a 3D. I'm going to turn that intensity up to that. That didn't really do what I expected it to do. I was expecting to see red on the left. It's because I still have the bottom, maybe. Not sure. Still haven't figured everything out here. Figured out a lot of things though. Make that a blue. I wonder if that's because I have to update that. It's still kind of turning green. Anyway, I'm assuming that this right is this little edge over here as a part of the bevel, and the left being this edge over here as it comes in. That could have to do with my bevel angle or my gradient. Some of these selections down here. Again, haven't figured it all out, and haven't even really read the manual on this. Just kind of wanted to introduce this to you guys. So as we move through, let's pick something else. You have your main view, and if you were to change some things on this kind of gives you an idea of what color you're dealing with before you change to that panel to be able to see it. Because some of these things, unlike the panel that we saw here, we could see it actually change. You're going to have to get out of the GUI designer and go to the panel itself. And we'll give an example of that now. You can see here, this is what I just changed, is this section right here. We can also see my crazy panel that I just made where that red is coming in on the left, as I was expecting it to. So going back to the GUI designer, the GUI designer, and we know we're dealing with that screen, our main operating screen. If we change that to far blue, remember to update, then get back out of the designer simply by clicking on settings, and you can see that was changed. Going through some of the other things, and we'll just talk about it. These are obviously the parameters that you're going to be dealing with, but I'll kind of go through some of the other things. You can pick obviously the fill color for your waves, the line color, this background color, and I'll go through some of the textures. Some of the textures are kind of neat. And then of course as you update these, you have your fill color here as well as your line color and your background color. These buttons do not change. These items here do not change. Other than that, you can modify everything else. You can't modify the position. Say if I wanted to make this screen smaller or bigger, can't do that yet, but I can change this texture. So we'll go do that and go through some of the textures. And here we're looking for side panels. Side panel, texture select. Now these are each one, so you can click by mouse. And each time we'll start with one, update. You can see that's changed to some kind of a granular thing. Each one of these are different. Now, I'll turn my intensity down and maybe some of the other things, because there's some of these other settings, and as well as color, also affect what you see. Right now, because I had it selected dark, even select the size. But let me see if I can't change colors here so we can, there we go. so we can actually see what we're doing. So you can see these textures. We'll go up to texture number 5. Intensity, we'll make those a little bit bigger. Now you can see, yeah, some of the different things going on. I'll go back to some of these other textures so you can see what's happening. And then again, this can be in different colors. You can control the gradient, the angles, all the things that you could control with the panel. Oops, to give that the look that you want. This one you can see is kind of big, so if you want to take that size down a little bit, you start to see what's in there. And there again, you would be able to select the shadow color, the fill color, the background, best I can tell anyway. So anyway, that's kind of the introduction to this. Just wanted to show you guys that this was a feature that was added and to show you a little bit about it. One of the other things that I found helpful was you can even select the bars, the text color and whatnot, and the last, these are called parents, which would be the top level, and children being the bottom. You can select your colors and text colors and background colors there as well. So I thought it was kind of neat. I prefer dark GUIs. So I'm kind of still playing around with this. I'm not going to save this because I'm still kind of working on trying to piece my first one together. But if you wanted to save what you just done, you click here and it saves it to an XML file. And then you would reload that file by clicking here. There are presets. And I haven't got this deep yet, but I'm going to assume that as you go through these different presets, if you wanted to do different ones, like for example, if I wanted to save what I had already been working on but wanted to experiment with something, I go into preset number 2, make some changes, click Save My Colors. My first color scheme would remain in position 1 because I haven't made any changes to it under that scenario. So then here, this number 2 preset is where I would start making my changes. So I believe that's all one file. I don't think they're separate files. I think basically you end up with 16 different schemes you can come up with that are all saved in one file, if that makes sense. But this is some of the things that the developer has kind of started us off with just to show the possibilities, I guess. You can see the buttons changing here. That's also, I'm not sure if that's selected with inside the GUI design or the graphics. I know you can select it here in the graphics as far as which buttons you want. And I do believe that this graphics selector is a part of Fathom Pro, whereas the GUI designer is Fathom Vector and AVX only. I'll leave descriptions as far as or not descriptions, I'll leave a link to Fathom in the description below if you're not familiar with it and you just stumbled across this video somewhere. Great synth, a lot of fun. It's kind of strange that we now have this GUI designer, because the original design of Fathom is what really attracted me to it. The color scheme, the layout, the whole user experience as far as GUI, I think is one of the best out there for my taste. Anyway, I hope this has been informative at some level, and I will be doing a tutorial video on the metamorphic oscillator that's also included in Fathom Vector. It's been there since the last update, but still something new to a lot of people. So I will be doing a more in-depth tutorial on that, whereas this was just a demonstration. But we'll talk to you guys soon. See ya.